Moving on, here's an example, and I have to say the lovely Peter actually gave you the answer to this earlier. So the question to you is, what is the capacity of the point? Okay. Now I'm going to give you a little hint here because we're only using a quarter of the space. This room is a quarter of the total capacity. So it's the same number again, text A, B, C, or D. The options which are coming up on the screen behind me are... Here we go. Right. What's the maximum capacity? Is it A, 600, my best Chris Tarrant voice? Is it B, 800? Is it C, 1,000? Or is it D, 1,200? So you're literally texting the character A, B, C, or D. You'll see I've put in some sample data already, with 25% all round, with a one of each. C is proving a very, very popular choice, which is good to see. And you can see every few seconds that's updating itself with your votes as they're coming in. It's perhaps worth at this point pointing out that it doesn't give you it's not quite the responsiveness that a keypad-based system would. It's not quite the same beast. Typically, of a keypad system, you'll say, "Okay, guys, you've got 10 seconds. Vote now," and then you look at the result. It's not quite the same thing, but it is a very cost-effective solution for dealing perhaps with a vote from several thousand people. The difference is you might leave the vote running for a few minutes and look at the bigger picture that's coming at the end of that. So it looks like you're all homing in on option C at a staggering 72%. You're absolutely right. Yes, the nominal capacity of the point is 1,000. There are no prizes, but there was a free lunch later. So thanks for that.
There is a prize at the end of the day, actually.
What's that?
But I'm not going to tell you that. Mr. Samji will tell them about that later on.
Okay, but, good point, yes.
Have you finished with that?
So that's voting.
That's voting, and that's texting. So we've seen all that. I mean, personally, I get involved in lots of race nights, and I could see ways to apply this in terms of voting for horses' names and betting. What about other applications for the system? And do you also build bespoke applications for the client as well?
Yeah, I mean, at its very basic level, we are capturing text messages from a large number of people, and we're putting those in a database. So there's all sorts of things that we can do with that data. So I want to have a look at a slightly off-the-wall project that we were involved with. This is actually a field marketing exercise selling orange and lemon Gatorade. I don't know if you've ever tasted it. Is it any good? Have you tried it, Emma? Okay.
Too many
it's probably too sugary.
Too many for you as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So the client had a need to basically see in real time how their sales force was getting on. So they had teams of people out there in the UK marketplace, wandering in and out of shops with bottles of this stuff, trying to get it in stock on the hard sell with this new product line. The issue the client had is they had no way. It was several weeks before they're actually getting the performance data back to see how the teams were getting on. So what we came up with was this little solution here. So if I'm one of these guys doing the selling, I'd have my phone with me. I'd go into my shop. I would hopefully get some of this product stocked, and I would text how it went for me. So my message might look like 2 cases of orange Gatorade, 3L, 3 cases of lemon Gatorade. F, got it in the fridge. There was a little kind of a code structure to build up the SMS. And as those messages came in, we would show in real time on a screen. Now, this actually sat in the sales director's office, so he was wetting himself for excitement. He could see the ambassador activity monitor in the bottom left corner creeping up as people did their selling. He could see the bottles of orange and lemon Gatorade filling up. He could see the panels on the UK there, the regions, turning from red to green as they met their sales targets. So again, all driven using SMS, taking that data, splitting it up, processing it, and then presenting it in a graphically quite funky way. Another real benefit of this, actually, we found is because people are naturally quite competitive, and there were prizes for the best performing regions. So they're all kind of trying to outdo each other, trying to get the green colour first, trying to get the best figures, and so on. So it actually, as a result of this system, the client thought there's something like a 20% increase in the sales achieved just because people are trying to outdo each other. So very powerful.
Indeed. Don't forget, by the way, if you've got any questions that might occur to you whilst Richard's talking, then send them to that text number. I must ask you something about that as well in just a second.
Yeah.
There will be a couple of live question and answer sessions today, but also then if nothing is, if your query isn't answered today, as I said earlier, we'll answer the questions on the website.
Yeah.
It can be a bit long-winded looking at those very long text numbers. What about shortcodes? Do you operate with shortcodes?
We can do shortcodes, yes. There is quite a high cost to putting that in place, which is something completely out of our control, unfortunately. It's something that the mobile operators provide. So we can do it. I think you'd need quite a large event to actually make that cost effective. But from a technical point of view, yes, it can be done. So you'd be texting to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rather than a fuller mobile number.
And you mentioned the C word. What about costs?
Yes. Again, at the moment and today, we're charging these messages at your standard network rates. We're not making any money out of you. The cost, it is a system cost only, so you're paying for the server, an operator, perhaps if we need to put together some particular display formats, maybe that, we've got some off-the-shelf ones like that blue one you saw earlier, but a display format to suit your event, that's your base cost. And then it doesn't really affect us whether it's 1 user or whether it's 2,000 users. It's exactly the same system requirements. So as I mentioned, calls are charged at your standard network rate. Now, if you wanted to play it another way, you could, and we're not doing this, as I say, but you could use it as a revenue stream. So you might have a text-based competition. You might charge the messages at £1 or 2 each. So in that case, you can take a cut of the revenue you make by billing people a little bit extra for those messages. Obviously, you need to tell them about that, but it can be done. Brilliant.
Thank you very much, Richard. What you're trying to say is there are no limits.
Absolutely not. No.
Fabulous.
So just as we touched on earlier, the vote is now closed. It's got on the screen. So any text that we receive on that number from this point forward, we will assume are questions that you'd love to ask us, the team, and we're going to try and crack through as many of those in the Q&A session just before lunch as possible.
Fabulous. Thanks very much.
So it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'll be back later, but thanks for your time.
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. We will see quite a lot more of you later on,
cheers.
Richard. So much more aware now of how versatile SMS can be within the context of that conference setting, and obviously not used just for texting, but to reflect a more realistic representation of popular voting thanks to the anonymity aspect of it.